on the 24th day of March, it will be recorded that 25 positive cases of the coronavirus were confirmed as the history books are written. And these, of course, are some of the top developments we're covering for you tonight.
9 more confirmations raise Kenya's COVID-19 positive cases to 25. The defiant and reckless keep the risk high.
This is one time when you idea, the government won't idea, because the government cannot help each and every home and every child.
Plus, they are key in enforcement in the coronavirus war, but police officers have no bullets in their hygiene guns. The cops are exposed and frightened. And travelers arrive to confusion, frustration, and life-risking exposure at the airport and isolation facilities.
The other option was to go to KMTC. And so the ones going to KMTC were informed that it will be free of charge. They will not pay anything, but they have to share the room.
Also tonight, delivering free water in Mathare to keep the deadly virus at bay.
Kuhakikisha tu kwamba watu wetu wako na maji na pia wanaweza osha mkono na wakae nyumbani.
The small big things that everyday heroes are doing.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
Glad you could join us on NTV tonight. Our sign language interpreter is David Agondo. And to our top story on the new developments, 9 new cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in the country, bringing the total to 25. A total of 647 people who came into contact with both old and new patients are being monitored, with 98 already discharged after undergoing 14 days of quarantine. Setolale has the status report 12 days since the first case was reported.
Kenya has recorded the highest number of confirmed cases within 24 hours. This is after 9 new cases were confirmed out of 82 samples tested at various centers. This brings the total number of COVID-19 confirmed cases in Kenya to 25. The newly confirmed cases are from Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale counties. Out of the 9 confirmed cases, 7 are Kenyans while 2 are foreigners. From the 7 Kenyans, 3 contracted the virus from close contacts of previously confirmed cases, while 4 contracted the pandemic abroad.
The new patients have already been taken into isolation in our facilities and are being monitored by our medical personnel together with others previously turned positive.
But there is hope.
The Frenchman is responding well, but all the other people that have tested positive are okay. We think we might have some good news, but we don't want to start announcing things and then start going backwards.
745 people believed to have been in close contact with the confirmed cases have been monitored. 98 have been discharged after completing a 2-week quarantine. The remaining cases are still being observed, with 15 individuals currently admitted at the Mbagathi Hospital awaiting test results. The health minister also left a message for those engaging in unhealthy behavior.
And Kenyans are exhibiting a very indisciplined behavior, and this is going to cost us. This is one time when you idea, the government won't idea, because the government cannot help each and every home and every child.
The tracing of persons who came into contact with both old and new patients is ongoing, even as the government is set to announce new measures aimed at preventing the further spread of the pandemic. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
And the government definitely there with a point about Kenyans' responsibility in the fight against the coronavirus spread. But as it says this, as the government scolds Kenyans for indiscipline that could see an explosion, an increase in the number of coronavirus cases in the country, as has been seen internationally, given the slow response, it is guilty of preaching water and drinking wine in its handling of Kenyans and residents into the country. And we know that the closure or at least suspension of international flights into Kenya will start at midnight, just under 3 hours. And we'll be seeing how the government on its part has been dropping the ball. And in its effort to compensate for the laxity that saw imported cases roam the country unfettered, and that has now led to local transmission, the government has failed to enforce its own guidelines, as Olive Burrows explains.
First, it failed to put in place robust systems that would see to it that persons who flew into the country from nations with cases of the coronavirus adhered to the requirement for self-quarantine, exposing the wider populace with whom they mingled freely to the virus.
You can walk into JKIA or any other center, no temperature, nothing, and then a couple of days later, you show the signs.
Which is why the government should have had systems in place to see to it that the prescription for self-quarantine was followed. But why cry over spilt milk?
Then what do I do then? Yeah, we don't have money.
On realizing that suggestions, no matter how often repeated, would not dissuade returnees or visitors to the country against social interaction, the government is now wrangling them up, cramming them into airport buses against its own advice to public service vehicle operators. And going by Melanie Ligale's shared experience on Twitter, the missteps add up. Social distancing here is impossible. Not everyone has masks. Some of those that do, including airport staff, are wearing them incorrectly. Children are acting up. People are telling me that the quarantine options are dormitory style. How is squeezing people into rooms preventing the spread of the coronavirus? Melanie tweeted 24 hours ago. And her experience was not isolated. Pardon the pun.
Between the time we arrived there and the time that we had this briefing, we already had so many travelers arrive from different countries, different continents. And honestly, if I speak for myself, I was very uncomfortable. I was nervous. I tried my best not to touch anything, sit anywhere, just to protect myself. So obviously, for most of us, we were tired. I wanted to just get somewhere, get myself safe. And of course, because we were so many, we could not even maintain the required distance between people. Honestly, I didn't see any health officials come to us to advise on the best way to go through this. And because there was no proper planning, they put all of us in risk because we did not know where these people were coming from. And so the ones going to KMTC were informed that it will be free of charge. They will not pay anything, but they have to share the room. And as a Kenyan, I was so disappointed.
For all its tough talk, the government's failure to follow even its most basic advice has left a lot to be desired.
Everyone rushing to the buses, we're all squeezed together. Very unprotected, very not safe at all.
Teething problems was the Health Cabinet Secretary's response.
That there has been challenges, particularly at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, as well as the designated hotels and government facilities, where we are taking the travelers for mandatory quarantine. This was bound to happen because of the huge numbers that are coming in, while at the same time, we do not want to leave anything to chance.
For all its zeal, the government's handling of the small group in the wider scheme of things at the airport last night failed to inspire confidence, underscoring just how important it is that citizens take responsibility for their own and their brothers' well-being by curbing the spread. Olive Burrows, NTV.
Granted, this is an unprecedented challenge, but even as the government challenges Kenyans to be vigilant and take responsibility, the challenge is thrown back at the government, even as the suspension of the flights, which is actually Wednesday midnight, as announced. The international flights with passengers coming into the country will be affected. We will see if things will improve in terms of protecting the country. Now, with the increasing number of cases, Kenya hopes to be able to respond even faster by introducing COVID-19 kits that should take less than an hour to test individuals. The government is in talks with China on the financing and logistics of receiving the new kits. The country has since received its share of a donation by Chinese billionaire Jack Ma, who promised to provide 1.1 million COVID-19 testing kits to Africa. Though a welcome gesture, given the experiences in South Asia and Europe, the number of available kits pale against the pattern of rising confirmations. Mel Miendo reports.
Midday, Tuesday, 24th March 2020, an Ethiopian airline flight ET-3751 touched down at the JKIA carrying protective and medical equipment from China via Addis. This being a boost to the country's medical sector in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, with the demand of testing kits, masks, medical use protective suits and face shields being on a steady rise.
We have received a donation of 25,000 testing kits for the coronavirus from the Chinese business magnate Jack Ma. On behalf of the government, I want to thank this gentleman for his generosity, as this will go a long way in helping us fight this disease.
It calls for not individual or separate actions. We as Africa, we Ethiopia and Kenya as good neighbors, we should bring all our resources in the fight against this global and regional problem.
Kenya becomes the 5th country to receive coronavirus testing kits after Egypt, Djibouti, Eritrea and Sudan.
Although this may come as a reprieve to the medical sector, experts still believe that crisis looms over the demand of general medical supplies, mostly imported from countries that have been gravely affected by the pandemic.
In terms of requirement for replenishment, that's where we've got a challenge, because most of our medicine comes from India, it comes from China, and other medical commodities also come from Southeast Asia, and some are manufactured locally here. The regular supplies that should have been servicing existing contracts suddenly dried out because factories closed. People were sick or working from home, and there was total lockdown. That has affected even the amount of commodities that are active on the high seas or at airports moving between destinations from supply to where the clients are.
A stitch in time saves 9, they say, and as far as the future is concerned, the country's multi-agency approach to mitigate a larger medical supplies crisis is needed. Mel Miendo, NTV.
Meanwhile, at least another 10 people across various Western and Nyanza counties have been taken into isolation after they attended a funeral ceremony officiated by Father Richard Olo Odwor, who is COVID-19 positive. The families of the affected are in fear as they hold firm to the hope that their loved ones are coronavirus negative. Zacchaeus Mwasane with that update.
More people who interacted with the Catholic priest, Father Richard Odwor, who tested positive for COVID-19, are being identified. In the county of Migori, 3 Catholic nuns from Rapogi Convent alerted county health officers that they were among the attendees at the late Mama Lenola Awino's burial in Kinda Village, Ugunja, Siaya County. The now quarantined cleric presided over the ceremony.
The 3 nuns are very stable. They have not shown any signs of coronavirus. They are on their 11th day.
Also at the same funeral were 2 members of a Kisumu family. Lawrence Okoth says his uncle, Dominic Owor, and grandmother Matilda Olo attended the event. In pictures from the funeral, Owor is seen at the front next to the priest, and his nephew now wants them in isolation before they can physically interact with the family.
Hao watu waende wapimwe na waanze na baba yangu, kwa maana kwa WhatsApp nikiangalia napata kama baba yangu alikuwa karibu sana na huyu father, na yeye lazima akikuanga karibu na father, yeye lazima salimie father.
all those people who attended that funeral, who came into contact with the father, to come out, to volunteer and come out and be tested.
And in Busia, 4 people from Sirova village, Matayos constituency, and another one from Siginga village in Ibudalangi have been forced to remain in their houses after attending the final rites event.
He had a fever, and also he had a history of travel from Switzerland to Kenya. So given the guidelines that we have from the Ministry of Health, we treated this as a case that should warrant further investigations.
Zakis Masame, NTV.
Now, 3 of the 4 counties that have so far officially registered coronavirus positive results among the last 9 patients are in the coastal region. This has raised concern among the residents and leaders, as well as more people are being traced to be placed in state-monitored isolation. Kevin Mutai reports that more stringent rules are being enforced to deal with the negligence by some of the residents, a key risk in the delicate situation.
Good afternoon, ladies and
As the coronavirus continues to hit Kenya, the coastal region is so far appearing to be a hotspot of sorts.
These confirmed cases are spread out in 4 counties, namely Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale.
This has seen fervent efforts to trace contacts of the infected, as well as tough measures to limit the spread. Health officials have identified and isolated 22 people in Savo as they interacted with a Frenchman tourist who was in Msambweni and is COVID-19 positive. A hotel in Voi has been shut and 1 employee isolated after he came into contact with a Frenchman who was at the facility. Efforts to trace those who came into contact with Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi have also intensified.
The total number of close contacts that we have so far been monitoring stands at 745.
It has been exactly 7 days since the first case of the virus was reported in the country, and now there are fears that after the incubation period of the virus, the numbers in the coast region may spike owing to the disregard residents have to the government's safety directives. The emergency committees on the virus in Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale counties have, however, introduced new measures to prevent the spread of the deadly virus.
Kama hauna kazi ya kufanya mjini, bakia nyumbani. Bakia nyumbani kwa hiyo muda. Kwa sababu hiyo ugonjwa sio mchezo. Na mahali tuko tayari hiyo ugonjwa iko ndani ya Mombasa hii. Na lazima tuchukue tahadhari.
Tukiongea hayo yote, tufanye uamuzi ni kwamba afadhali tulie leo, tucheke kesho, kuliko kujifurahisha roho leo alafu tulie forever.
The leaders want even more stringent rules in place as the police vow to crack down on the defiant. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Well, despite stringent measures and passionate calls for Kenyans to minimize movement and practice social isolation and distancing, some are still opting to flee the cities and major towns for the rural areas, which they consider safer. Most passengers say they are traveling to avoid being infected by the new coronavirus. Rose Wangoi has that report.
The popular Machakos Country bus station in Nairobi was teeming with travelers moving into and out of the capital, headed to their rural homes, a ripple effect of the confirmation of COVID-19 cases in the country and the subsequent slowdown of life.
Tunaona ngoja ya corona yenye iko. Watu wanastuka bado. Lakini tukaona tu endo shago tu tukae huko kidogo. Kama fare kutoka mahali naishi mpaka Tao sasa hiyo analipisha 150. Sasa hiyo hujarudi home, hujakula. Sasa mambo mingi tu yenye inafanya mtu anaamua tu aende ushago.
Lockdown inaweza tokea. Sasa labda usamekana utaenda nyumbani. Sasa unaamua ukimbia uende.
This move, while a practical one for the travelers, has been frowned upon, especially in cases where the rural homesteads have elderly people as they're highly vulnerable.
Nimeseeka nikiletewa ugonjwa kama ule tumesikia. Tukuje tukamatwe ni ugonjwa huo, tutabana nini?
Wewe uko Nairobi, hata ujue hali yako ya corona ni namna gani.
unaambiwa kwamba ukae nyumbani for the next 30 days. Serikali imesema namna hiyo. Wewe unachukua matatu unaenda Kiplombe. Kule Kiplombe kuna nyanya yako ako na miaka 90. Unaenda kuua nyanya yako. There's no doubt about it. Unafika kule unahagi yeye, unasalimiana yeye, anakaribisha wewe, umebeba corona. So tafadhali wacha mambo kusema kwamba labda umepewa holiday kutoka kazini kwenda kufanya mambo nyumbani. Where you are, cap.
As the government demand that PSVs carry fewer passengers at no extra cost, the operators say the arrangement does not make business sense. The Matatu and Boda Operators Federation has vowed to suspend operations on Thursday if the government will not cushion them.
Watoe hii riba ya kila mwezi ya matatu, watoe kama ni insurance. Now we are carrying 30 passengers from 51 seaters and 8 passengers kwa matatu ya 14 seater.
All vehicles, all investors to park their cars and stay at home.
Kenyans have repeatedly been asked to stay home and avoid movement that is not deemed essential. Rozongoi, NTV.
Well, as we've been talking about the COVID-19 crisis, and in the same breath as those in the front line, you've heard a lot about the doctors and the nurses, rightfully so. But there is another group, the disciplined forces. The government remains frustrated, as you've seen there from Natembea's sound, by a stubborn public that has refused to obey the stay-at-home advisory and has given the police direct orders to enforce the Public Health Act. But enforcement on the ground is coming with a lot of risks, as you can imagine. NTV's Dennis Okari explains.
The National Police Service has been tasked with playing a crucial role in enforcing the government's directives in the fight against the COVID-19 global pandemic. In this unprecedented times, police officers are handling a crisis they never prepared for. To maintain law and order comes naturally, but dealing with an unseen and largely unknown enemy requires a different approach. Here at Kamukunji Police Station, like many other similar facilities in the country, it is business as usual. It's 5 a.m. at this police station that deploys nearly 350 police officers working in 2 shifts. A source filmed the activities here, and it is plain to see how exposed the men and women in uniform are to the deadly coronavirus. Even the police officers, while ready to serve, are worried and now fearful that they can more easily and avoidably get infected. The standard procedure at any station is a morning parade where the OCS briefs his officers before a changeover at 5:30 a.m. Officers start arriving and walk straight into the station. There are no hand sanitizers, gloves or face masks for the officers who will be sent to different parts of the city. Neither is there a deliberate pointer to hand washing. In the station cells, police freely interact with people they have arrested through the night. They serve them with the morning tea before signing out. Those in the cells are also exposed and share breakfast in close proximity. They have no option. 6 a.m. outside the station, officers continue to arrive as they queue to sign in for firearms from the armory, which the night shift officers deposited. The guns are not sanitized before the changeover, and there is no social distancing as the reception area gets busy. They prepare for another day at work with patrols that go as far as Nairobi's Central Business District, Isli, River Road, Mudhurwa, Gikomba and several other areas under their jurisdiction. It is unthinkable what could happen if police officers who have not been briefed on their safety while dealing with people from all walks of life, and more concerning that it could just be a matter of when, not if, the virus strikes. Further, they interact with people's documents, attires and all manner of objects as they carry out their duties. They may be armed with guns, but not with the weapons of hygiene. Dennis Okari, NTV.
Thanks to that story by Dennis, you're able to appreciate the challenges by the discipline forces facing a lot of indiscipline. With 22 minutes past the hour, we take our first break here on NTV Tonight. Stay with us.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there. Selena, it's great seeing you getting so much value for your money.
Well, it's important to save as much as you can.
You save everywhere. Except for here. This is where you're throwing money down the drain.
How?
On these cleaning products.
Impossible.
Harpic 10X. While other cleaners flow away, Harpic 10X's viscous formula in only one round of application gives you sparkling, clean toilet. Harpic, 10 times better cleaning than other cleaning products.
And great savings too.
Female genital mutilation is one of the worst forms of gender-based violence that is meted on girls and women worldwide. According to UNICEF, more than 200 million girls and women alive today have been cut worldwide, and 9.3 million have undergone the cut in Kenya. Another 3 million girls are at risk of undergoing the cut every year. Therefore, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta has committed to end FGM in Kenya by the year 2022. Ending FGM is the responsibility of every Kenyan. Kukomesha ukeketaji ni jukumu langu, jukumu lako na jukumu letu. Pamoja tukomeshe ukeketaji kufikia mwaka wa 2022. This message is brought to you by the Anti-FGM Board in collaboration with UNICEF Kenya.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Sensitivity is a short, sharp pain that people experience when they have something hot or cold getting to the nerve of the tooth, causing that discomfort. If the sensitivity is left alone, it may get worse. Dentists recommend Sensodyne to their patients. It's able to get inside the tooth and calm the nerve of the tooth down. And the proof's in the results. It works.
Beat germs with Jik. Kills 99.9% of germs on your kitchen surfaces, sponges, chopping boards, sink and fridge, and your bathroom taps, showerhead, basin and surfaces. Just Jik it. Look out for our new improved packaging in store. Just Jik it.
Selena! Toto, where's mommy?
Today's a toilet day.
What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow!
Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
God, where are you? Where are you?
I knew you were trying to shove that God stuff down my throat. I'm telling you, there is no God. I was champion of the world twice. I was somebody. Then God took it all away. God, doesn't he control everything? He let Hector die. He let them strip me of my title and everything that I had.
This panel has voted unanimously to permanently revoke your license to box in the state of Florida. We will make that recommendation to our national organization as well.
And you think God did this to you? You think God abandoned you? You think God planned all this to harm you?
God, where are you? Where are you?
Welcome home to Amani Rich, the place of peace. Invest in Amani Rich, the place of peace. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome back. Amid all the gloom and tension, some people have opted to serve light and ease to their communities. They've chosen to plug into the gaps that they are familiar with in an effort to keep the deadly coronavirus away. In Mathare, 2 young men are providing free clean water to thousands of residents. And in Molo, members of a church supplied food and cleaning agents to persons living with disability. NTV's Sharon Baranga met with some of them.
Amidst the challenges and fears brought about by the global pandemic,
we have a group of emerging heroes who are working hard to ensure their communities are as comfortable as possible.
This is Mathare in Nairobi, an informal settlement that is home to thousands of people. But they are all in imminent danger in light of the coronavirus outbreak. They do not have a consistent supply of clean water, which will make anyone understandably anxious as the country continues to report an increase in the cases of those infected. And their cries got to two young lads who actually came from this community. For 2 days, they have supplied the villages with over 40,000 liters of water.
So hii ni round ya kwanza tumepeana, so tuko na villages different, tutapeana maji leo.
One of the basic thing that is needed to actually control coronavirus is keeping clean. You cannot keep clean without water.
Kwa sasa watu wafanyi kazi, watu wako nyumbani, serikali inataka watu wakue nyumbani. So kuna hiyo challenge ya pesa ya kununua hiyo maji, hata kama ni shilingi 1 ama shilingi 5.
Kwa vile mtuletea maji leo, watu wa hapa naamini leo wako na raha kwa roho yao kwa sababu watachukua maji bila kulipa.
And in Molo, Nakuru County, a group of people with disabilities received foodstuff and cleaning agents from a local church. They hope the supplies will last them this period when the country is battling coronavirus.
Mambo mingi imetulemea kwa sababu tulikuwa tunaenda tunafanya kibra kidogo, lakini sasa hii mahali tulikuwa tunaenda kama sokoni imefungwa, hakuna vitu ya kuuza kwa soko.
In Baringo County, a Form 1 student has innovated hand washing equipment where one wouldn't need to come into direct contact with, so as to reduce the spread of the coronavirus. Traders at Oinomoi Market were impressed by the innovation, comprising of a bottle, rope and stick.
Nilionelea kutengeneza hii kitu kwa sababu mzazi wangu hakuwa na pesa ya kununua hiyo kibuyu, kwa sababu mtu mwenye ako na hiyo ugonjwa ya COVID-19 anaweza kuja akashika hiyo kibuyu akafungua na afunge, atakuwa maacha virusi kwenye tap.
Isaac, a student at Simoto Secondary School, took it upon himself to do something to help his community, and the challenge, hoping you choose to accept it, is to do your part in helping those around you. Perhaps it is as simple as staying home and observing social distancing as much as possible. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Well done to Isaac and the rest who are doing their part. Small, but in a big way. A close shave in terms of encounters with possible infection with the coronavirus is perhaps a reality for many, more than they would want to admit. Barbershops and salons join those in the service industry that are not exempt from the challenges the virus has brought. And as Ngina Kirori now reports, some of them may be forced to cut ties with clients for the foreseeable future for utmost safety.
Salons and barber shops have been viewed as more than a place where you can get a fresh haircut or a manicure done. They are places where you can sit back, relax, and socialize closely as you recount a funny story while getting your hair or nails done. But what happens when you put a social distance in between this in a bid to curb the threat of the COVID-19 virus? For Steve Roots, the owner of Roots Salon, the COVID-19 cut is deep.
Unafektiwa sana kinywele, wale wote wako kwa nywele wanaelewa, sababu tunaogopana hapa. Mteja ananiogopa, mimi namuogopa mteja, so ni biashara iko chini na tunasubiri tu vile government itasema, alafu tujue vile tutaendelea.
In the meantime, Steve tries to keep the virus as far away from the barber shop and salon.
Pale chini kwa building, kwa gate kuna sanitizer. Ukiingia tena kwa mlango wetu kuna sanitizer, na pia kwa reception yetu, plus kwa shampoo area tuko pia na wataalamu wa kuosha nywele, unajiweka mask vizuri, na pia kuna sanitizer tena, unanawa mkono tena.
Despite this, the twisting here may have to cease until the situation is under lock.
Maintain ile 1 meter ni ngumu sana kwetu, so lazima tukue keen sana kwa wale watu wanafanya kazi, tuone kama tunaenda nyumbani for a while.
Getting your usual wash and blow dry or your shave may have changed with COVID-19. That's if the social distancing here is anything to go by. However, for salon and barber owners right now, the priority here is safety. Gina Kirori, NTV.
It might seem impossible at every turn, or every convenience that you would want on your daily basis is surrounded by the dangers. Just do your part as much as possible. Haya mengine, as we say, tuachie Mungu. And yes, we take another break here on NTV Tonight. We'll be back with more informative pieces on how you can protect yourself.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology, to fight multiple tough pains, with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Basic protective measures as guided by the World Health Organization. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact 1 meter or 3 feet with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Avoid raw or uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases by sharing this message with a friend. Message brought to you by Sour Herbal Family Bath Soap.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready, y'all. Get ready. Ready, set, jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Keep it steady, to the letter right, turn it up. We giving the show.
Hey.
Hey.
What'd I miss?
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Parenting is all about learning when to be tough and when to be gentle. Tough, gentle. But when it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Tough call. Panadol Baby and Infant. Tough on fever, gentle on your child.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
Let's talk some business now, and even before the first quarter of the year is over, and with the spread of COVID-19 still on a growth trajectory, unfortunately so, the International Monetary Fund has already projected negative growth of the world economy this year. Central Bank of Kenya Governor Patrick Njoroge says the government is in talks with the World Bank and the IMF for a financial assistance package in excess of 100 billion Kenya shillings. Alex Mwangi reports.
COVID-19 has frozen economic activity globally, drastically revising downwards the growth projections that had been made.
Now, what's the bottom line? First, we haven't hit rock bottom, that we know. But yes, we know now that the world is in recession. We note yesterday the managing director of the IMF did mention in a conference call with the G20 that the outlook for global growth in 2020 is negative.
The Nairobi Securities Exchange, in a trend exhibited in other markets as well, has seen the 20-share index dip to below 2,000 points for the first time in close to 2 decades. It shed a further 3.64% in Tuesday trading.
Fiscal authorities eventually did move, but markets have not been comforted by those announcements that have taken place.
The Central Bank of Kenya has made a request to the World Bank for $50 million in emergency support to be directed to the Ministry of Health. There are also negotiations on additional assistance of $750 million from the World Bank. The government hopes to secure $350 million from the International Monetary Fund. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to present numerous unknowns.
We do not know how long this crisis will last. So we had to take sort of an educated guess in terms of the recovery. For sure, we know that we are not getting a V-shaped sort of crisis. Will probably be more of an extended U for a few months, and then we'll recover back to more normal, gradually to more normal sort of transactions.
But it's not all doom and gloom, as the pandemic will also present some upsides.
Beginning of March, it was at $52.4 a barrel, and now it is at $26.5 a barrel. That was yesterday or the day before. So you can see that there's significant savings that can be obtained, or that the economy can actually have. If 20% of your imports, the price has fallen 50%, that obviously calls for a lot of savings in that.
The CBK has lowered the central bank rate from 8.25% to 7.25% and also reduced the cash reserve ratio from 5.25% to 4.25% to give banks more leeway to play a more proactive role in the economy in the fight against the effects of COVID-19.
There will be sunshine after the rain.
Alex Mwangi, NTV.
All right. And on the back side, so there. Thank you.
The Capital Markets Authority has relaxed financial disclosure regulations in a bid to ease the pressure on firms to post their results amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Licensed intermediaries, issuers of securities to the public, collective investment schemes, and other approved persons with timelines for submission and publication of audited financial statements in March and April 2020 have been given an extension of 1 month. The CMA has also relaxed the regulation of posting of financial performance for some of the companies on 2 newspapers with national circulation until the 30th of June. CMA has directed that disclosures be published on the websites of the company's social media, the Nairobi Securities Exchange website, and the CMA website. The NSE 20 share index declined by 4.9% last week and 11.5% the previous week. The Grand Royal Swiss Hotel in Kisumu is suspending operations until further notice, with effect from tomorrow. The closure of the hotel comes as a result of both the need to ensure the safety of mankind, coupled with the flow of customers having come to a halt. The tourism and hospitality industry is among the worst affected by the spread of COVID-19 as travel across the world has become restricted. Riyadh Market, which is adjacent to the hotel, has also been shut, so have Kondele, Kibuye and Oile markets.
Itabidi tumetii hii sheria kwa sababu tusipotii sheria hii ugonjwa itakuja tushike sisi wote na ituwe vibaya tena sana. Kama imeshafika Siaya, ule priest alishaeleza Siaya. It's very fortunate that kufika Kisumu is very easy for now. Unaweza fika anytime.
Sheria tunaogopa na pia sheria paka tuitii vile wamesema. But watu wache tu muda, sisi watu wa biashara tuchukue mali zetu tuone mali tunaweka safe. Tukiwacha hivyo kesho mwenye mali atanidai pesa. Utafanya nini?
The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, has articulated a raft of proposals for economic support to contain the repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic. ISPAC has outlined 13 measures as stimulus options for Kenya, including tax concessions, support to micro, small and medium enterprises, loan repayment extensions, and restructuring, reduction in domestic borrowing and support to county governments. Among other things, ISPAC would also like to see the prohibition of debt collection, including medical debt, until the 3 months after the pandemic ends, and a 6-month interest-free moratorium placed on the repayment of higher education student loans. The Institute has also proposed sources of funding the COVID-19 stimulus and incentives package. In a paid-up advertisement, ISPAC has also included a comparative analysis of the country's stimulus package in other jurisdictions. And that's it from the business desk. More after the break.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
We can always talk about your account, online, whenever you like.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
Protect yourself against coronavirus by using Amara antibacterial hand sanitizer that will effectively clean your hands and eliminate disease-causing virus while you're on the go. In line with government regulations against traders hiking the price of hand sanitizers, report any trader selling out of the below prices to 020-864-2330 or 020-864-2333.
Usingoje hadi dakika ya mwisho. Pimwa kwenye hospitali ya serikali. Matibabu inapatikana bila malipo. TB inakinga na tiba.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Kiungulia na kuvimbiwa? Ino inatibu ndani ya sekunde 6 na inatuliza dalili 6 za kiungulia. Kwa hivyo unaweza kuburudika bila kikomo. Ino, tibu haraka kiungulia na tumbo kuvimba.
God, where are you?
I knew you were trying to shove that God stuff down my throat. I'm telling you, there is no God. I was champion of the world twice. I was somebody. Then God took it all away. God, doesn't he control everything? He let Hector die. He let them strip me of my title and everything that I had.
This panel has voted unanimously to permanently revoke your license to box in the state of Florida. We will make that recommendation to our national organization as well.
And you think God did this to you? You think God abandoned you? You think God planned all this to harm you?
God, where are you?
Welcome home to Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Invest in Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome back. It is estimated that you touch your face at least 23 times an hour, coming into contact with your eyes, nose, and mouth, through which you could get infected with the coronavirus, which is why it's important you pay attention to what your hands come into contact with, as you risk picking up the virus. NTV's Olive Burrows tells us what you should be on the lookout for.
When a person infected with COVID-19 coughs, they release the virus through tiny droplets, and a single cough can produce up to 3,000. These droplets, according to a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, persist in the air for at least 3 hours, which is why you're encouraged to keep a distance of 2 meters between yourself and others to keep from inhaling these droplets. Primarily, this is how the virus spreads. But these droplets not only land on people around the infected person, they land on clothing and surfaces around them. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine tested the viability of the virus on 4 types of material: plastic, stainless steel, copper, and cardboard. The virus are viable for 72 hours on plastic, 48 hours on stainless steel. It was much more less stable on copper, and no viable virus was measured after 4 hours. On cardboard, no viable virus was measured after 24 hours. An analysis of 22 studies reveals that the human coronaviruses can persist on inanimate surfaces like metal, glass, or plastic for up to 9 days. The coronavirus has been found to persist on metal for up to 5 days, wood for up to 4 days, and on paper between 4 to 5 days, and glass for 4 days. So how can you protect yourself? It's advisable to frequently disinfect frequently touched surfaces, including tables, doorknobs, light switches, countertops, handles, desks, phones, keyboards, toilets, faucets, and sinks. So how do you disinfect these surfaces? You use a bleach solution of approximately 5 tablespoons of bleach per 4 liters of water, and it takes approximately a minute for the virus to die off on contact. On smaller surfaces, you can also use an alcohol solution of at least 70%. And while the coronavirus lasts longest on hard, non-porous surfaces, it can persist on soft surfaces such as clothes and blankets. The CDC therefore advises you to launder them using the warmest appropriate water setting for the items and dry them completely. As it's difficult to control how often the surfaces you come into contact with outside your home are disinfected, the best advice is to wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible after you come into contact with these surfaces for 20 seconds at the minimum, and taking care to clean all of your hands' surface area. This is also important for the reason that the virus persists in fecal matter.
And there's more. The lessons Kenya and other countries can and should learn from those that have more adverse situations are many. Dan Mwangi spoke to a doctor in Italy to get a pulse of the situation there.
Italy is one of the most hard-hit countries in this coronavirus era, and the pandemic has ravaged it. And we are going to be speaking with one of the doctors there from Italy. His name is Dr. Federico Sibona, who's going to be speaking to us from Italy just to give us an idea of how it is like at the place that the epidemic has hit very hard. It has the largest number of fatalities at the moment. Thank you for speaking to us, Dr. Federico. Maybe you can begin by telling us what is it like right now for those of you who are there, especially having been behind doors and just seeing all the death around you?
It's incredible because everything has changed within 1 month, and 1 month ago it seemed the usual flu that we have here every year, and everybody, even the politicians, they took it as a common flu. But then from one case we raised to over 50,000 people.
What is the kind of age bracket of those who have died, especially, and those who've been infected as well? Are we seeing more of the old people, as we've been told, and less of the younger people?
Yeah, that is confirmed that most of the people that have died are over 70, but that doesn't mean that people that are under 70 won't be affected by this flu. So the thing is that the younger people, they believe to be immune to that. It's not true. Everybody can be affected by this virus, and everybody is at risk. So the only way to prevent is to stay at home and wait for it to calm down, as the numbers are still growing even in Italy after taking all these measures.
What do you think was the key reason why this blew to this level in Italy?
We don't have any big reason, because it started in the area around Milan, and then it spread, but it was very fast. The first week it seemed okay, but then after 10 to 15 days the situation was totally different. And now the situation is dramatic because we reached the maximum capacity, as now the ICU beds are almost full everywhere in northern Italy. So the only thing that everybody can do is not to see other people and stay at home and try to do everything at home. It's even hard for the kids. But if everybody has MZ, please, for them, stay at home because you want your relatives alive.
And maybe just in closing for us, you could just let us know for yourself as a doctor, and just seeing at how your healthcare system has been stretched. What lessons do you think there are to learn for now, just going forward?
First, we have to be united as a nation, no matter which system health system it is in a country, but the public and the private must cooperate. Otherwise, we won't face the situation. Everybody must be the same, the richest and the poorest, because everybody has the right to survive. So we are using all the bad capacity that we have to face the emergency. It's not matter of private or public. Here is matter of people that are dying. So we must have the maximum capacity of bed and ventilators to make these people survive and don't have many deaths as we're facing it now.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Federico Sibona, who's speaking to us from Italy, which, as we have been reporting, is the worst hit in regards to the number of fatalities owing to the COVID-19, which has taken over 11,000 lives so far. And so it's a matter we continue to reiterate as part of what has been extended by government and other experts, that stay home, avoid too many movements, avoid too many interactions. It may be uncomfortable, but it is to create an opportunity for you to be alive and for everyone else to be alive to enjoy that comfort.
And since that conversation between Dan and Dr. from Italy, that number has definitely changed. It's now the total of over 17,300 lives claimed globally, and Italy was still the highest number with over 6,000 deaths or lives claimed by the coronavirus pandemic. We get into the sports after the break. Stay with us.
Swaddling needs a blanket and helps your baby feel safe and secure as she adjusts to life outside the womb. Spread your baby's blanket out on a flat surface. Place your baby face up on the blanket. Their head should sit above the folded corner. Straighten your baby's arms, then take the sides of the blanket and wrap it over their arms and chest. Loosely twist the bottom of the blanket and tuck it underneath your baby. At this point, your baby is fully covered.
Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kids.
Protect yourself against coronavirus by using Amara antibacterial hand sanitizer that will effectively clean your hands and eliminate disease-causing virus while you're on the go.
Together stay free whatever ends. No, we can't stop. We wanna taste the feeling. Nothing can ever bring us down. Taste the feeling.
Molfix breathable surface developed with Airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I've found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
God, where are you?
I knew you were trying to shove that God stuff down my throat. I'm telling you, there is no God. I was champion of the world twice. I was somebody. Then God took it all away. God, doesn't he control everything? He let Hector die. He let them strip me of my title and everything that I had.
This panel has voted unanimously to permanently revoke your license to box in the state of Florida. We will make that recommendation to our national organization as well.
And you think God did this to you? You think God abandoned you? You think God planned all this to harm you?
God, where are you?
Welcome home to Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Invest in Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome to the sports. After months of uncertainty, the International Olympic Committee has finally postponed the Tokyo Olympic Games that were scheduled to begin late July in Tokyo for 1 year due to the global coronavirus pandemic. Making the announcement, the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, said that the world's largest sporting event will take place in the summer of 2021, hopefully. While this will bring relief and certainty to sports people and sports stakeholders, it will cause some havoc to the global sporting calendar, given that the World Athletics Championships and the Euros are among planned sporting events for 2021. On Sunday, Canada became the first country to say it would not send its athletes to Tokyo, with Australia following suit. Up till now, the Games have never been postponed in peacetime. Still on the impact of the global coronavirus pandemic on sports, and the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Amina Mohammed, has said that the Kenyan government is still in consultation with different stakeholders before making a decision on whether to postpone the World Athletics Under-20 Championships, the Continental Tour, as well as a World Rally Championship Safari Rally leg, which were to be held in the country this year.
I'll also say that we are in conversations with World Athletics because, as you know, we are hosting two key events that are usually organized under World Athletics. That's the Continental Tour and the World Under-20. We are in conversation and we'll be making an announcement probably later today, early tomorrow morning, after we have completed our consultations with the World Athletics, and World Athletics has done its work with its own council to make sure that we are all in tandem on what decisions will be made.
And what about Safari Rally?
The Safari Rally, we are also in conversation with President Todd and the whole team in Paris and Geneva. We'll be making an announcement probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's not yet an announcement that is ready to be made.
Meanwhile, Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa has lashed out at Sports Dispute Tribunal Chair John Ohaga for what he termed to be inconsistent decisions regarding the controversial football elections. According to Mwendwa, FIFA will respond to the SDT ruling in the coming days, even as he enjoys more time in office.
Sikubaliani na John Ohaga na kuwasaidia na kuendelea kuwasaidia na haya mambo. Ukijua vizuri tumetumia pesa nyingi sana kwa shirikisho. Ukijua vizuri tumefuata uamuzi wako wa Disemba vile ulisema, lakini bado sasa turudie kura mara ya 3. Ndio wanasema tangoja FIFA. Hatujui FIFA watasema nini. Natarajia leo ama kesho asubuhi tutapata barua. Basi tutaletea Wakenya vile FIFA watakavyosema. Sisi Joshua tutafuata. Kuna kitu moja nzuri lakini wamefanya. Wameniongezea muda kwa ofisi. Sababu vile wanaendelea na mlumbano kotini. Mimi muda wangu unajua sasa ilikuwa February 10th. Sasa unaona March inaenda kuisha. Na hii corona pia tujui ni mpaka lini. Na kura unaona sasa hata kama ni kurudia haiwezi kufanywa kama kuna corona. Kumaanisha mwaka jambo moja wamefanya nzuri bila kujua ni kuongezea hizi siku zetu za kufanya mambo yanayofaa katika football.
And even as we contemplate some of the prospects for the sporting events for this year, the World Under-20 Championships, the World Athletics Under-20 Championships has actually been postponed. And yes, because of the coronavirus pandemic. And that's not the only thing. Globally, the season's Champions League final, Europa League final, and Women's Champions League final, all due to be played in May, have been formally postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. According to European football governing body UEFA, no decision has been taken on rearranged dates. All 3 competitions are currently suspended, along with almost every European domestic league, because of the coronavirus. 12 teams remain in the season's Champions League after only half of the competition's round of 16 ties could be completed before UEFA postponed the remaining matches due to the virus outbreak. UEFA last week postponed the Euro 2020 tournament until next year. There's a lot that has been suspended in the sporting world, and that's that for NTV Tonight. But Sidebar has not been suspended just yet. So Kenneth Mijungu is standing by with his panel of Professor Matilu Mwao, Dr. Joseph Mugachia, and Simiu Werunga, security consultant. You wonder why he has a security consultant on this panel? Well, the coronavirus is in context with the next frontier to check the spread and how far the government will go. And we did hear that the health CS Mutahi Kagwe say tomorrow there will be another announcement on the measures that will be taken by the government given the latest developments. Keep safe, take care, and stand by for Sidebar up next. Good night.